Hey guys, it's your host Davian. Welcome to another episode of Consciouztv. As you guys can see from the title, you already know what we're here to discuss. Make sure that you rate, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell before you leave because you always have to do that in order to keep up with all of my latest uploads. For those of you who want to donate to the show, you can do so at paypal.me/Consciouztv, and you guys can email me for all of your suggestions, feedback, stories, or just things you want to share with me personally at consciouztv@gmail.com. And I might have a Cash App link already in the description box below. You guys keep asking me for a Cash App. I personally prefer PayPal, but I may have already created one by the time I load this video up. So that'll be in the description box below as well. I am just getting back in from the club. It is like 3 a.m. in the freaking morning, and I promised that I would have this video up, so I'm just like, let me get home and just do this before I go to bed. So we're going to get into the whole Jussie Smollett story. You guys know there's a lot going on with this story right now. And I kind of want to respond to some of the rumors, some of the curiosities, some of the speculations, and also to some of the recent developments of this story because things keep getting really interesting. So I have my handy dandy notes here, which I'm going to be referring to a lot because we have a lot of ground to cover. You guys know I did my initial video regarding the incident, but I really didn't kind of dig into the story in detail. I kind of used what had happened to him to talk about the reality of hate crimes committed against LGBT persons. You guys know that LGBT people are murdered heinously around this country year round. Lesbian, gays, transgenders, intersex, cross-dressers, the whole nine. So for those of you who haven't seen that video yet, I will leave the link in the screen somewhere and definitely in the description box below. Please go check out that video. That is definitely a conversation that needs to be had, and it's just a awareness that definitely needs to be there as it relates to the struggles of LGBT people in this country. Now, since that video, I, like everybody else, have stayed glued to the media outlets, blogs, to the news, to everything that's been coming forward about this incident. And let's just kind of get into it. And like everybody else, I have my opinions. I have my speculations. I'm going to reserve the bulk of what I think is happening later on when there's more information that has come out about this story. But I do think something is very interesting about the timing of all of this. But I'm going to leave that at the end of the video. Let's kind of travel there. So let's start with, what do we know? Well, we know that Jussie Smollett claimed to have been attacked in Chicago between the hours of 2 and 3 a.m. While he was on his way to get a sandwich from Subway. As he was retreating back home or to wherever it is he was going, he was ambushed by two people who were screaming all type of obscenities towards him, racial and both homophobic. They put a noose around his neck, poured a substance that was believed to be bleach on him, and then fled the scene eventually. We also know that surveillance footage does show Jussie outside of a Subway. It also shows someone sitting on a bench across the street from him. Another set of cameras captured Jussie and this person both walking, but on opposite sides of the street. Both Jussie and the suspect individually go out of view for about 60 seconds. And after that 1 minute mark, Jussie is captured on another surveillance camera with what appears to be a rope-like object around his neck, but he's wearing it like a tie and walking down the street. Jussie then retreated back to an acquaintance's condo. From here, there is surveillance footage within the elevator of the condo showing Jussie in the elevator, where detectives reported seeing a road salt-like substance on Jussie's sweatshirt. And we're going to get into what that could be within a second. Police were later called. Now let's talk about where the public seems to find things to get really weird at. Chicago police have been making statements regarding this alleged attack by Jussie Smollett. And one of the things that we've learned is that the attacker screaming mega, 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 which is the acronyms for Make America Great Again, was not something that was initially reported by the actor. That was later reported in a follow-up interview with police by Jussie Smollett. Now, some will say, why is that? Why was the mega situation added later? Well, it's possible that at the time that Jussie was initially speaking to the police, that like all people who were just attacked, there was anxiety, there was nervousness, there were a lot of mixed emotions going on. So he just initially told the police the bulk and the gist of what happened, and it wasn't until later on, where he had calmed down, where he had collected himself, that he then was able to divulge more details about the account. So it's not uncommon for victims of attack of any kind to have left out certain details in the initial report of the attack. It has also came out that Jussie had the police turn off their body cams upon them entering into the private residency. Where the actor was at the time that he spoke to police was at a acquaintance's condo, and this was a private residency. According to police, it is very common for people who live in private residencies to ask police to turn off body cams. This is probably because people want to protect the residency, don't want people being captured on camera and that footage later leaking out publicly on news outlets. So this is more of a common social courtesy by people who reside in private residencies. So it's not far-fetched or necessarily means something ill-intended on Jussie's part. Also, Jussie is a celebrity, so he also might have to just preserve his own privacy and not have this footage of him leaked out prematurely before he was more comfortable. Now, Jussie reported that he was on the phone with his manager at the time of the attack. However, Jussie and his manager have declined handing over their phone for analysis by police, and this has created speculation as well. Now, considering that Jussie is a celebrity, and all of us know that our phones are the gateways to all of our darkest secrets. Everything from nude images to private text messages to all type of perversions lie within the depth of this little single device. Considering that he is also a celebrity, I don't find it completely unrealistic or out of the norm that he would be uncomfortable and reluctant to hand over a device that has such private information in it, especially also concerning that he is a member of the LGBT community. It's no telling what other celebrities and their information is in this phone who are not publicly out. And there can just be a million and one reasons why someone wouldn't want to hand over what is essentially a digital diary. We know that in the age of social media and technology that lots of celebrities' informations and nude images and all type of private exchanges get somehow leaked out to the public and to the media. And considering how private and conservative Jussie seems to be, I think that this is kind of fitting with his personality type to be very uncomfortable handing out something that could really lead to embarrassing him on whole other levels. It's not beyond reproach for Jussie to have been reluctant in handing over his phone. However, that is speculative considering the depth and the nature of this attack being racially and sexuality motivated. Personally, despite my apprehensions with turning my private device over to detectives, I personally probably would have done so and would have wanted to be as cooperative as possible. But that's just me personally. Everybody has their own liberty in these matters. Now, there's been a lot of speculation over why would this actor be out this time of night. First of all, it's below 20 degrees in Chicago at this time. Nobody in their right mind should have been out according to the public. However, the surveillance footage proves that Jussie wouldn't be the only person who would be comfortable parading around town this time of night if even in these type of conditions, considering that the footage also showed other pedestrians walking along the city, showed someone sitting on a bench across from him. He wasn't the only person active in the city. After all, the Subway store that he went and got a sandwich from was still open as well. Now, who could this other person have been? We don't know. Was this just a random pedestrian waiting for someone else to come and pick him up? I mean, he was sitting on a bench, what I would assume to be a bus stop bench. The footage does not show Jussie and this person ever making any contact. They always were on opposite sides of the street. They both also went their separate ways. Who this person is left to the imagination. This person also could have been homeless. I recall one time in my own city, I had gotten up at 4:30 in the morning, went to a gas station. It was crazy cold this time of night. And as I was leaving out of the gas station after getting back into my vehicle, I was pulling out of the gas station and I happened to look to my right and there was a black guy and a white guy just standing off on the side of the building in the grass area. And they were just sitting there talking. And I remember thinking to myself, why are you guys out this time of night? And considering how cold it is, why are you guys like out this time of night and in these type of conditions? And I say that to say this: shit don't always gotta make sense. Human beings do shit all the time that don't make sense to us. People are out and about doing their own biddings in the world. For whatever reasons, they are doing those things. And those things will look to us to not make sense. But we observe shit and observe people do things all the time that don't make sense to us. If you go through downtown Columbia right now, no matter what the temperature is, you are going to see people downtown walking. You're going to see people downtown standing in front of buildings, just sitting there. I mean, you're going to see all type of random shit at crazy times of the night, irregardless of what temperature it is. Now, what is interesting is that when Jussie went out of frame for 60 seconds and then reappeared with what seemed to be a rope or a noose around his neck, he was seen walking toward his acquaintance's condo. Now, it would seem to me that if you've just been attacked, someone damn near strangled you to the ground, was beating you, punching you, slapping you, pouring substances on you, that you wouldn't be walking to your destination, that you would be running, sprinting, yelling for help, crying for help, and not just casually walking down the street with the noose around your neck after being attacked. But considering how much I know about shock and trauma and human nature, everybody's reaction to things isn't the same, especially when something shocking happens to you. Some people do all out just panic and lose their fucking mind. And some people internalize that shit in such a way in order to protect their conscious mind from going absolutely crazy. So I'm not going to say that him not running and screaming after this attack down the street is necessarily indicative of any foul play, but considering the ambiguity of the circumstances, it does seem really bizarre that he didn't appear to be more panicked after being attacked and that he would not have ripped the noose from around his neck. Not to mention that the police do not report that Jussie still had the noose once they arrived at the condo to interview Jussie. So I'm curious as to what Jussie did with the rope. Also with the phone situation, I'm not really sure why the police would have wanted Jussie to hand over his phone for analysts, seeing that it doesn't appear that much physical evidence would have been on the phone itself. If he had been on the phone with another person, all the police would have had to do was get Jussie's permission to pull his phone records from the cell phone company so that they can get a time stamp that would have helped them to know what time to look on each surveillance camera in order to pinpoint exactly where and when this attack took place. This would have helped police and investigators narrow down the time of night exactly this took place, and they would have been able to hone in on the exact time on all of the footage surrounding the area that the attack took place in. The only reason I could imagine that police would have wanted the physical phone is maybe they could have used the GPS component of the cell phone. This could have helped investigators possibly to figure out the longitude and latitude via satellite in terms of where Jussie was exactly in the city during the attack, seeing that he was on the phone with his manager, which would have showed up on Jussie's phone record. So I'm a little confused why they would have wanted the phone, but then again, I can see also why they would have wanted the physical phone, and if Jussie didn't want to give over the physical phone, why he could not have given them permission to have his phone records analyzed. Now, a lot of people are speculating around this whole Bleach situation. Who's carrying a bleach and a noose this time of night with a mega hat, screaming mega this and screaming mega that? Well, first of all, I don't believe a mega hat was ever reported by Jussie. The men were wearing ski masks, not a mega hat memorabilia. They were screaming this. So this was never something that was physical. This wasn't a hat or a visor or anything. Also, as it relates to the bleach, it was 20 degrees below Fahrenheit in Chicago at the time of Jussie's attack. Bleach freezes at 20 degrees, which means that it's very possible that when the attackers went to douse Jussie with the bleach, that it froze and turned into snow. And that is what appears to be road salt or street salt sprinkled all across his sweater. It's basically frozen bleach. That bleach would have dispersed as snow and looked like crystals on his sweater. What I'm curious to know is why none of the footage shows two people sprinting or fleeing down the street, because suspects who just attacked someone who fled from the scene would know that this person is more than likely going to call the police because they didn't leave this person dead, and they would be hauling ass through the city to get into a car and go on about their business. But none of the footage shows anybody running, anybody seeming to be panicked, any two people dashing away or a car speeding off. So I'm curious as to if investigators are not only looking specifically for where Jussie was, but it's also looking at surveillance cameras from the suspect's point of view as well, and looking for anything odd that happened within the proximity of that entire area in terms of people running or dashing. Because if I had just fucked somebody up on the side of the street that time of night and did the most, my ass would be running away. Me and my partner in crime would be running away. But there is no footage displaying that. Now, also as it relates to Jussie requesting the body cams of the officers to be turned off and not wanting to hand over his cell phone, you guys have to think about the personality type of the person we're talking about. Society agrees that Jussie seems to be a very believable, nice, talented, respectful, non-controversial person. Nearly every single person reporting on this incident has interpreted Jussie to be someone who has stayed out of trouble, somebody who has not been caught up ever in mess, someone who has not been caught up in controversy. So considering this non-controversial person who seems to probably be more conservative in terms of how he lives his life, it definitely reinforces why he would be apprehensive to hand over his phone, why he would have body cams turned off. Because Jussie probably naturally just did not want this thing to become a huge thing. And Jussie's natural personality would motivate him to be more reserved and to be more standoffish about this happening, and to kind of tiptoe around this and to be a little difficult and non-compliant because he just doesn't want all of this negative attention on him, even though he would be the alleged victim in this circumstance. But we all know those personality types. We all know those people who are kind of very shy and quiet. They really don't like confrontation. They don't like being a part of mess. They don't like negative attention. And even if something bad has happened to them, they kind of are more willing to take it on the chin than to actually confront it. So considering Jussie's personality type, none of this stuff is really out of the question. I could see it both ways. I could see this being a hoax and this being a publicity stunt, but I could also see it being consistent with his personality type. Now, speaking of hoaxes, could this be a hoax? Yes. Honestly, anything can be true as it relates to anything. Nothing can ever be past anything. Nothing. Publicity stunts have been used by record labels, by production companies, by labels, by celebrities, by management throughout the dawn of Hollywood to draw attention to projects that singer or a pop star or an actor is working on. Publicity stunts is a common way that Hollywood draws attention to their agenda politically, socially, and creatively. It can be true that it is a hoax. It can be true that this is a publicity stunt. It can be true that this is a fake narrative. Another speculation and rumor that I've seen in the blogs is, could this have been a hookup gone bad? Yeah, it could have been, but it doesn't seem that this was. Keep in mind that the footage doesn't ever show Jussie at any point in time in contact with another person. Now, also consider that Jussie is in Hollywood, which is a very sexually charged industry. Jussie is a very attractive, successful man. He has access to Hollywood dick and Hollywood ass. He wouldn't need to randomly hook up with somebody on Jack or Grindr or Tinder or use any of those type of apps to begin with. Mind you, also considering the personality type of Jussie, he's more quiet, he's more conservative. This is the same person who doesn't even want to hand over his phone. This is the same person who doesn't even want to be on camera when police show up. So how is it possible that the same person would be okay meeting a perfect stranger off the internet at some ambiguous time of night and risking having the stranger secretly record their encounter, because obviously the stranger could very well know who he is. Oh, you're the actor from Empire. So it can be possible that this is a hookup gone bad, but it's just not likely. And mind you, there is a story being said right now that, you know, he's on Grindr and people have seen his profile. Just because you see a profile on a dating app with a celebrity picture on it doesn't mean it's that celebrity. It's called catfishing, people. Now, Christopher Milan gave an entire soliloquy on Instagram about how he retracted his support of Jussie Smollett. He just sees a lot of inconsistencies with the story and things are not making sense to him. People, I don't want to hear from no bitch who was a part of a Mona Scott Young production. I just don't. But then again, any bitch who's been a part of a Love and Hip Hop Mona Scott Young production would know about fake storylines, wouldn't they? Bitch miss me. I'm still practically fucking neutral. I can just see this thing going both ways. I can see this attack being genuine and this being something that actually happened to Jussie Smollett. As we've all said, Jussie has stayed out of headlines. He's not been somebody that's been caught up in the mess. So it very well can be true that this happened to him and that there just won't be a lot of physical evidence to support what happened to him, but that doesn't also mean that it didn't happen to him. Plenty of crimes have been committed against people where there was a lack of physical evidence. So the physical evidence doesn't necessarily prove or disprove. It would only disprove Jussie's account in this case if they found footage of Jussie walking throughout this city the whole time and nothing ever happening to this motherfucker at any given point in time. And now I know a lot of people feel like, oh, you know, like we're living in a day and age where this is still happening to gay people. Yeah. Look at that video that I did initially about this story. Gay people have went out into this world. Black people have went out into this world, been minding their fucking business and been in the wrong place at the wrong time. People have been innocently murdered. Police officers have literally hunted down black people. Homophobes have literally hunted down gay people. Remember the couple I spoke about, the Las Vegas couple who was at Walmart and went home to their apartment, and upon them entering into their place, two men who saw them at Walmart followed them back home and brutally stabbed them both right outside their apartment? Yeah, there are people who literally get up and decide, today I'm killing me a faggot, and decided, today I'm killing me a nigga, and the first nigga I think is a faggot, I'm killing that nigga, and the first nigga I see that is a nigga, I'm killing that nigga. Think about how many women have gone out to the clubs and gone out to the bar, and on their way home, they've been raped, they've been kidnapped, they've been sexually assaulted. Yeah, there are people who literally wake up and decide, I'm raping somebody, I'm hurting somebody, I'm assaulting somebody. That happens. It doesn't have to be for any other thing. People are still being assaulted in this day and age. People are still being abused in this day and age. People are still being abducted in this day and age. I don't know what type of world some of you think we're fucking living in, where people can't be the victims of homophobia and bullying. People can't be the victims of fucking rape and murder. Like, do you watch the fucking news? Do you even investigate the statistics of how many hate crimes and crimes are being reported by black and brown and homosexual people every year throughout this country? Yes, this shit just fucking happens. And Jussie Smollett could have just been in the wrong place at the wrong time amongst some sick ass people, or could have made the shit up. Both of those things could perfectly be fucking true. Now, one of the biggest issues in all of this, I think, is the fact that we're not hearing from Jussie Smollett himself, which is understandable because there's an investigation going on. So right now, he wouldn't even be legally allowed to speak openly as of yet. I want to let the police do their fucking job. I want as much evidence to come up as possible before I get to deciding personally what is from what ain't. But I would love to hear from the horse's mouth themselves. Because Jussie is not able to speak openly on behalf of his own self right now, what we have is a lot of outlets with a lot of their own personal agendas being able to spin and tell the story with different moods, with different contexts, and whether it's Media Takeout or TMZ or Fox News or CNN, every outlet has its own agenda, and every outlet is going to present this story in a way that's going to give them the most views concerning their target audience. So I think what's being conflated is the agenda behind the media, along with what is the genuine facts and the genuine narrative by the horse itself, Jussie Smollett. So because I have not heard from Jussie yet, I'm clear about how corrupted and biased the media can be. So what we're getting from the media is not necessarily from Smollett. It's from the media. It's according to officials. It's according to insiders. It's according to police. I want to hear from this man himself, and I won't be making an absolute total conclusion until I hear Jussie speak for himself. And if all else fails and this investigation comes to an ambiguous, vague conclusion and it's still kind of unclear as to what is what, I would honestly like to see Jussie Smollett just take a fucking lie detector test, just to absolve himself of any social backlash, in order to put his fans, his supporters, and even his naysayers to rest. I personally am, like I said, neutral. I'm going to wait and let investigators do what they are going to do, and I'm going to believe whatever it is the facts are about the case. However, I do find it very interesting that Lee Daniels has been promoting this gay superhero movie over the past few weeks, and that this alleged homophobic hate crime happened to one of his closest compadres, his son, in the words of Lee Daniels. And the timing of Lee Daniels promoting this gay superhero movie and this hate crime happening to Jussie Smollett is almost too motherfucking ironic to just chop up as mere fucking coincidence. Could it be possible that this is a publicity stunt created by Lee Daniels himself, who found a way to elevate his son's career and political status by making him the victim of a hate crime, while also being able to generate a total buzz and empathy and sympathy on behalf of the public who would want to support and band together as a country and take a united front to say that we're not putting up with this homophobic bullshit. We love the LGBT community and we stand behind Jussie Smollett and Lee Daniels and those who are LGBT identifying, and we're going to support this new project. We're going to support Lee Daniels' brand and all those who follow under him as a result of empathizing with the LGBT community. And guess what? Jussie Smollett would be the perfect candidate for a publicity stunt because nobody would ever suspect, nobody would ever think to not believe Jussie Smollett. We're talking about Hollyweird here. So with that being said, this is a very interesting case. I know we traveled a long way to finally get here. And because I can see this thing going both ways, I still am going to say justice for Jussie. And I'm also still going to say justice for the motherfucking truth. This thing either is or this thing either isn't. It's one over the other. And there's not enough evidence to suggest that it's one over the other. So I'm going to let evidence play out. Have you guys critically thought about all the variations of this? You guys definitely leave me your comments below. I know you guys definitely are going to. I'm Team Truth. We have a lot of layered perspective here. I mean, this is a layered thing. We're talking about a celebrity. We're talking about an LGBT person. We're talking about an actor. We're talking about Hollywood. And when you have all of those things layered into a pot together, this thing can get very interesting. So I definitely just want all the facts first. But so far, this is definitely very interesting. Make sure that you comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Definitely. You guys already know you can PayPal me and donate to the show at paypal.me/Consciouztv. You can email me anything you want at consciouztv@gmail.com. And like I said, I may have a Cash App link somewhere. So look for that in the stream or in the description box below. I love you guys and stay woke.